Order. Alors.
Order.
Statements by members. Déclaration.
Statements by members.
Alors.
Order. The honourable member for Rivière-du-Nord. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this government's record over the past session is simple. In Ottawa, if Quebec is to make progress, Quebec has to regress. We saw it with Muskrat Falls, a loan guarantee for Newfoundland to allow it to unfairly compete to sell hydroelectricity to Americans. We saw it with the peanuts granted to the cheese producers in Quebec, supposedly to compensate for the arrival of 17,000 tons of European cheese on the market. We saw it with C-29 when the Liberals voted to weaken Quebec legislation in terms of consumer protection. We saw it in their refusal to support Bombardier. With Ottawa, Quebec regresses. Luckily, Mr. Speaker, we are here and the Bloc will continue to denounce this government's scheming that hurts Quebec's interests. A government that deserves nothing more than a lump of coal under the Christmas tree. And yet, on this side, my colleagues and I wish all Quebecers a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and the same thing to all parliamentarians. But be ready, because when we come back, no more fun and games. Honourable Member for Châteauguay-Lacolle.
It is with great pleasure that I rise today to speak about the incredible Christmas spirit that can be found in my riding. Where do I begin? With the Santa Claus Parade in Saint-Rémy, old-fashioned concerts and festivities in Mercier, Châteauguay, and Saint-Isidore, or the numerous activities in Sainte-Clotilde, Napierville, and Néry, as well as every other town and village in my region. Mais j'aimerais...
But I also like to remind my colleagues and fellow citizens of the existence of many food and toy collection activities that occur during this period of sharing. I urge all residents of Châteauguay-Lacolle to support the organizations devoted to this cause, such as Action Famille de Sainte-Martine, the Comité d'Entraide of Saint-Jacques-le-Mineur, Sourire Sans Fin of Saint-Rémy, and the Châteauguay Food Bank, which are all partners of Saint-Vincent de Paul.
This, Mr. Speaker, is the true spirit of Christmas.
The honourable member for Edmonton-Griesbach.
Mr. Speaker, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, but for many people in Edmonton-Griesbach, it's not going to be very jolly. It's the same throughout Alberta. Many folks are left out in the cold. Unemployment's almost 10%. People are bracing for a job-killing carbon tax, and EI benefits are running out. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are being Grinches. Despite their out-of-control spending, they failed to create one single net new full-time job. Their ultra-green agenda has Albertans seeing red. My constituents deserve a government that keeps its word and bolsters the economy. I'll continue to stand up for those who want jobs, not welfare, who want pipelines, not pipe dreams, who want action, not broken promises. They deserve more than a Liberal lump of coal. That said, Mr. Speaker, I wish my constituents and all members of this House a very Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy New Year.
An honourable member for Calgary-Skyview.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government has approved Trans Mountain Line 3 pipeline projects. These projects will generate significant economic benefits, including $4.5 billion in government revenues, money that can be reinvested in our healthcare, education, environment, and a clean energy future. The Trans Mountain and Line 3 projects will create more than 22,000 direct jobs. Mr. Speaker, we may come from different political parties with different perspectives, but I'm asking my Alberta Conservative colleagues to stop acting skeptical about getting these pipelines built. Our goal of bringing prosperity back to Alberta is the same. Their current attitude is hurting investment into our province and slowing recovery of jobs to Albertans. My Alberta Liberal colleagues and I offer to work with the members across the way to ensure the pipelines are built, the Alberta economy grows, and the environment is protected. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I wish everybody Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Honourable member for New Westminster Burnaby.
British Columbians remember 2015 well. They remember the promises that the Prime Minister and Liberal candidates made. The Kinder Morgan would not be approved using Stephen Harper's methods, and the pipeline would not be forced on BC without community support and the consent of First Nations.
That's right.
Now in 2016, the Prime Minister has betrayed British Columbians by breaking all of these promises. The Liberal Kinder Morgan pipeline makes a mockery of the government's pretension to combat climate change. It even destroys some value-added jobs in BC. I worked in an oil refinery, and I've been ankle-deep in oil. I have a healthy respect for a substance that has to be treated with extreme caution at all times. But just one error by somebody in an important role could wipe out tourism for years in the Lower Mainland and the coast, and wipe out our coastal fisheries for a generation. The Democrats have been clear. We will stand up against this betrayal of British Columbians. We will stand with First Nations, we will stand up for our coast, and we stand against the Kinder Morgan Trans Mountain Pipeline.
Hear, hear. The honourable member for Mississauga-Streetsville.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to congratulate the Brar family on launching the biographical book on S. Thurman Singh. He was a wounded British Punjabi veteran of World War I who, after the war, joined the non-violent fight for India's independence from British imperialism. He led many peaceful protests in Bombay and marched alongside Mahatma Gandhi during the famous Salt March of India. His turban distinguished him as a Sikh leading the protests. Sadly, the freedoms that he fought for were never realized during his lifetime. In 1975, his wife and family immigrated to Canada, and a land that echoed the values and freedoms he so desperately desired for his country of birth. His family is shaped by his integrity, his values, his courage and conviction. They add to the plethora of resilient and dynamic immigrants who enrich the fabric of Canada, a country that continues to embrace diversity. Thank you.
An honourable member for Caribou, Prince George.
I have to say, Mr. Speaker, 2016 was one for the books. It's hard to believe that the holidays are once again upon us and another chapter is closed. Whether it was attending the 90th anniversary of the Williams Lake Stampede, doing the 22 push-up challenge with Shaolin monks on the streets of the historic gold rush town of Barkerville, or walking the full 24 hours in the Prince George Relay for Life for Cancer, or being present to witness the new Canadians taking the sacred oath of citizenship, this year has been a roller coaster of emotion. I'm so proud to be the Member of Parliament for Caribou Prince George, to serve and to represent the incredible families of my riding. And as we begin to unwind with our family and friends and loved ones over the coming weeks, and recharge and reflect on the year that has just passed, I want to take this moment on behalf of my family, Kelly, Cassie, Caitlin, Jordan, and Josh, to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Joyeux Noël et bon.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you.
The honourable member for West Vancouver Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country.
This weekend in Sechelt, on the traditional territory of the Sechelt people, the Sechelt Arts Council, the mayor, and the school district principal for Aboriginal programs announced their plans for their Canada 150 celebration. Siyaya, Our Families, Our Stories. Sechelt elders, non-Indigenous early settlers, and young people are embarking on a year of storytelling through the support of professional artists. The Sechelt have a proud oral tradition. Post-contact settlers have proud stories too. Capturing these is a way for young people to learn and to lead in the community and in the country through truth and reconciliation. Indigenous and non-Indigenous, we have a shared history, both light and dark. Siyaya, family, we are one. Thank you.
The honourable member for Fredericton.
The #1 city in North America for business costs and one of Canada's best cities for export. Atlantic Canada's most entrepreneurial city and home to Canada's most entrepreneurial university.
That's right.
Canada's first free wireless city and twice named one of the world's most intelligent communities.
8th in the world for clean air, 4th best Canadian city for families, 3rd best city in Canada to retire to.
Bilingual workforce and one of the top destinations in the country for millennials looking to carve themselves a future. With more businesses per capita than elsewhere in the country, Mr. Speaker, is it any wonder that Fredericton was recently named Startup Canada's 2016 Startup Community of the Year? I congratulate Task Force Fredericton Startup Network, municipal leadership, and community members across the region who are driving this nation-leading culture of innovation and entrepreneurship in Freddie Beach. Merci beaucoup.
The honourable member for Red Deer Mountain View.
Mr. Speaker, Christmas is a time of giving, and today I'm honoured to pay tribute to two of Red Deer Mountain View's most generous givers, Jack and Joan Donald. The Donalds are very successful entrepreneurs and are the driving force behind Parkland Fuel Corporation. Just as they've been significant contributors to our local economy, they've also given back to our community for decades.
Good people.
Jack and Joan have led fundraising campaigns for STARS, Red Deer College, the Westerner, the Hospice in Red Deer, and most recently their $3 million gift to RDC is the largest the college has ever received. This generous gift will go towards critical infrastructure in the construction of the Donald Health and Wellness Centre, a wing of the Gary W. Harris Canada Games Centre. The Donald's leadership, philanthropy, and tireless volunteerism is a legacy that will have an enormous impact for generations to come. On behalf of Central Alberta, thank you, Jack and Joe.
The honourable member for Mississauga Centre.
Mr. Speaker, last week, Liberal, Muslim and Jewish MPs got together to enjoy a Christmas dinner. We shared stories and gifts. We discussed our values and the so much we have in common. We talked about how there are those who want to label individuals based on their race, gender, sexual orientation, or beliefs. They want to sow distrust based on stereotypes. Left unchallenged, Mr. Speaker, such prejudice would erode the values that our society is built on. Our kids will stop believing us if we tell them that all you need to do is work hard and fair to accomplish anything you want, regardless of your background. We have a responsibility to set an example that we stand together, united against labels and hate. Think about this, Mr. Speaker. What other country brings Jewish and Muslim politicians to celebrate Christmas and declare solidarity against discrimination? The world is watching. We need to show the best of ourselves. And on that note, Mr. Speaker, I want to wish you, my colleagues, and all Canadians a peaceful and a rewarding holiday season.
The honourable member for Tobique-Mactaquac.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today on behalf of my riding of Tobique-Mactaquac. I'd like to begin by wishing my second oldest daughter, Madeline, a happy 11th birthday, and I apologize I couldn't be there today. Mr. Speaker, my riding of Tobique-Mactaquac is rich in beauty and humanity, and hospitality shown by the people who live there is infectious. I've had several people mention this to me on several occasions. In keeping with both the hustle of the holiday season and the true meaning behind this time of year, while continuing to live up to our reputation, I'd like to put the challenge out to all my constituents. Let's be ractivists. Random act of kindness activists. Au cours du jour de semaine.
In the coming days and weeks throughout this joyous time of year, let's promote a positive tomorrow by performing random acts of kindness.
Compliment a stranger. Hold the door for someone. Shovel the driveway for a senior. Volunteer. Buy lunches for students who need it at school. Leave a great big tip. Buy coffee for the person behind you, or clean the snow off someone's car. L'emporte que petit geste.
Any small action can change someone's entire day.
Every day, random act of kindness day, and commit to kindness and perform the act. Like my friend at Gimpaponis once said, happiness is like jam. You can't spread even just a little bit with getting it all over you.
The honourable member for Bruce Grey, Owen Sound.
Mr. Speaker, on Saturday night, Flusherton native and Ottawa Senators right-winger Chris Neil played in NHL game number 1,000. Since 1998, this Grey County son has inspired hockey fans everywhere with his work ethic, grit, and determination in each and every game. Playing 1,000 NHL hockey games is a huge feat in itself, but to do it with one team is very rare. It demonstrates an incredible amount of loyalty from both Chris Neil and the Ottawa Senators. Chris and his wife Caitlin have been active leaders in this community, including service as co-chairs of Roger Nielsen House, which enhances the lives of children and their families facing serious illnesses. Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to announce to this House that his home community of Grey Highlands has proclaimed today Chris Neil Day. Chris, the community you grew up in is especially proud to call you a native son. Congratulations on this great milestone, and thank you for being an inspiration, a role model, and for the Rock'em Sock'em memories.
The honourable member for Parkdale High Park.
1 year ago, on December 10th, our national project to resettle Syrian refugees reached an important milestone as the first plane touched down on Canadian soil. Monsieur le Président, nous sommes chanceux.
Mr. Speaker, we are fortunate to have seen so many Canadians open their doors, their communities, and their hearts and to have found partners eager to take up the opportunity of building a rich, diverse, and compassionate Canada.
It's the Global Refugee Sponsorship Initiative. This initiative is led by the Canadian government, the UNHCR, the University of Ottawa, the Radcliffe Foundation, and the Open Society Foundations. It is designed to provide training and advice to countries interested in replicating Canada's private sponsorship model. This week, the initiative is bringing together sponsorship groups, refugees and governments from 9 different countries interested in replicating Canada's tremendously successful model. This is vital work, Mr. Speaker. Each of us should be proud of how much Canadians have done to make a difference.
Honourable member for Windsor-Tecumseh.
Mr. Speaker, according to the Disabled Women's Network, the rates of sexual violence, physical and verbal violence, and systemic violence are at least 3 times higher for young women and girls living with disabilities. 1 in 5 women in Canada lives with a disability, and they suffer the highest rates of poverty and unemployment. Our Prime Minister has stated repeatedly over the last year that his goal is to build a stronger, more inclusive Canada. I say to him, if you're serious, here's where you must start. Ensure that the proposed federal strategy against gender-based violence, as well as the Canadian Poverty Reduction Strategy, which should really be Poverty Elimination Strategy, are well and properly funded and completely accessible to women and girls living with disabilities. If we are serious, if Canada is to become more inclusive, then everything we do in government, every law, every policy, must be viewed through the lens of disability. And this lens must be gendered. It has to be. And Windsor-Tecumseh is proud to stand up for an inclusive Canada, and I'm proud to stand up on their behalf and wish all
Member for Red Deer Tacoma.
Mr. Speaker, it's that time of year again. That's right. Festivus is upon us, and I'm filled with the sentiments of Frank Costanza, who said, "The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it." For example, the Prime Minister set out his own accountability rules, which he and most of his ministers wasted no time in breaking. We have ministers selling access to themselves for $1,500 a pop to rich lobbyists and foreign governments. Not only that, the Prime Minister himself has admitted to taking money from elite billionaires who make no effort to hide their intention to buy influence with his government. Mr. Speaker, most Canadians don't have $1 million to buy the PM a statue. Most Canadians aren't going to fork over $1,500 just so they can get in a room with him and his ministers. It's time the Prime Minister and his government stop pandering to elite donors and start listening to ordinary Canadians. We're only asking for a Festivus for the rest of us.
And now, as we all look forward to every year, the honourable member for Cape Breton-Canso.
Manage your expectations, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 'twas the week before Christmas, and one thing's for certain, both opposition parties are definitely hurting. In their letter to Santa, they each had one ask, to find a new leader who was up to the task. The Orange leader looked beaten, a force that was spent when all he could muster was 47%. The Dippers, they're nervous because they tried and they tried. They posted the job and no one applied. They may turn to the internet to help fill their wish and place a help wanted ad on Plenty of Fish. Now, the Tories have 14 with credentials to tout, and their values-based screening knocked none of them out. They've gone coast to coast, speaking right from the stump. It's evolved to a game of out-Donalding Trump. Of course, the word on the street, without Peter MacKay, they hope the interim leader chooses to stay. But with the wind down south, the far right have a theory to heck with them all. Let's draft Kevin O'Leary. To all candidates I offer Christmas, love, peace, and joy. But when it comes to the next election, I'd still bet on our boy.
The member doesn't always aid the Speaker in creating order in the House, but still there was some appreciation. Order. Oral questions, questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The end of the session is a good time to remember that the government has turned its back on Canadian families. For example, they eliminated tax credits for sports, arts, and children's textbooks. They also increased taxes for small businesses. Mr. Speaker, when will the Prime Minister stop working for his Liberal friends and start working for Canadians? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, we've already started. The first thing we did at the very beginning was to reduce taxes for the middle class. That was very important for Canadians all across the country. Another important thing was the Canada Child Benefit. That is helping 9 families out of 10. They have more money in their pockets every month to spend on their families now. Mr. Speaker, this has been a very good year, and we hope that it will continue to be very good for the coming 16 years. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Nothing says middle class like a ticket to an exclusive Liberal Party conference. Just imagine the middle class problems they try to solve over champagne and caviar. And let's not forget the Chinese billionaires. Mr. Speaker, the people that the Prime Minister is hanging out with are not middle class people, and he is not there to solve middle class problems. So when's the Prime Minister going to stop spending his time with the out-of-touch elite and focus on the out-of-work Canadians?
Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister and this government is working for middle-class Canadians, and those working hard to join it, those are the very people that we will continue to work for. That's why we reduced taxes on middle-class Canadians. That's why we supported families with children that need it the most. We will continue to invest in families in Canadian communities so that we can do the good work Canadians expect us to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let's compare the middle class to the Prime Minister's cash for access donors. Middle class folks are concerned with getting their mortgage approved. Billionaires at his cash for access events are lobbying to get their bank approved. Middle class families are anxious about how to pay for their grandma's health care. Billionaires at these cash for access events are trying to buy seniors' homes. Mr. Speaker, these are not middle class families with middle class problems. So when is the Prime Minister going to admit he's selling out the middle class to his billionaire friends?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as I've said, this Prime Minister and this government is committed to working for middle-class Canadians and those working hard for joining it. We will continue to work hard for Canadian families with children through the Canada Child Benefit, tax-free, so that the families that need it the most will get the most, so that they can provide the support to their families in the way that they choose. And I will repeat that the Chief Electoral Officer, in regards to ticketed fundraising events, said and confirmed that every party fundraises and every campaign does them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Opposition Leader.
Well, let's get this straight, Mr. Speaker, with the Prime Minister's Cash for Acts fundraising. First, he claimed there was no business being discussed at these events, and he was just following the rules. But when that didn't work out, he admitted to breaking the rules. But that's okay because he's above the rules. Yesterday, his story changed again, and now we're supposed to believe that these Cash for Access events are all about the middle class. Mr. Speaker, when is he going to stop working as a bagman for the Liberal Party and start working for Canadians?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we have said all along that we are always listening and engaging with Canadians from coast to coast to coast on the issues that matter to them. When it comes to making decisions, we are guided by a very important principle. What is good for the middle class? That's the approach we took when we cut taxes on middle-class Canadians. That's the approach we took when we introduced the tax-free Canada Child Benefit. And that's the approach we took when we expanded the CPP. We will continue to listen and engage with Canadians so that we can do the good work that they expect us to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
At stake, the Prime Minister has basically said that he is above all Canadians. He's above the law and that these rules apply to everyone else except for him. He continues to blindly defend these actions about selling access to his office, with each new excuse becoming more arrogant every day. It's embarrassing to the Canadians who expected more from him. It's embarrassing to this House, and it's actually embarrassing to his Liberal caucus who has to sit through all of this. Mr. Speaker, when will the Prime Minister finally do the right thing and end these cash for access fundraisers?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as the member knows very well, is that when it comes to political financing, we have some of the strictest rules across this country. And this government was elected by a commitment to Canadians to work hard for middle-class Canadians and those working hard to join it. Those are the people we continue to work for. Those are the commitments that we made to Canadians, and those are the commitments that we will continue to deliver on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Député d'Outremont.
The Honourable Member for Outremont. Well, we found more evidence today that Canada 2020 is simply a wing of the Liberal Party of Canada. Access to the Prime Minister shouldn't be based on financial donations to the Liberal Party or Liberal organizations. Have you already made your maximum donation to the Liberal Party? No problem. We have other shady ways to allow you to contribute more. So my question is simple. How many Canada 2020 activities have Liberal ministers attended? How many? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, this government is listening to Canadians and engaging with them so that we can meet the real challenges that they are facing. We will continue to work for the middle class. We will continue to work for Canadians. And we will do the work that Canadians expect us to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Tremont.
After the Prime Minister threw his minister and the President of the Liberal Party under the bus, the PMO scrambled to write new talking points, and they are truly cringeworthy. Get this, he says his cash for access events where people pay $1,500 to talk government business with the Prime Minister are meant to help the middle class. Finger on the pulse, Mr. Speaker. Do they really think that exclusive fundraisers with canapes and cocktails are a Christmas gift to the middle class?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as I've said time and time again today, that our Prime Minister and this government is committed to working for the middle class. That's why we lower taxes on middle-class Canadians. That's why we introduced the Canada Child Benefit, tax-free for families with children that need it the most. That's why we are working closer with provinces and territories and municipalities so that we can respond to the very real challenges that Canadians are facing. Mr. Speaker, I know that all sides of this House can work together to respond to the needs of Canadians. Let's keep working harder together. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Skinner Bulkley Valley.
You know, somewhere quietly to himself, Paul Calandra smiles. Just a year ago, the Liberals were championing a new way of listening to Canadians, but little did Canadians know you needed $1,500 to get their ear. But tis the season for stories, Mr. Speaker. So here's one. There was once a young prince with luscious locks and looks to charm, and he told the good people of this land that he would bring fairness to their democracy and make each and every vote count. Well, Canadians are suddenly waking up and they want to know, will this government actually bring in a fair, proportional voting system, or was that all just a fairy tale?
The Honourable Minister of Democratic Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, as a government, we're proud to hear from Canadians before introducing legislation. It's why my parliamentary secretary and I travelled the country hearing from Canadians. It's why we brought together a committee to act as a forum to hear from Canadians. It's why, Mr. Speaker, we are reaching out in a new digital initiative in which 250,000 Canadians have already participated in, Mr. Speaker. We look forward to hearing from many more voices before introducing legislation in this House.
Order, order, order. Honourable members should remember, I know it's an exciting time of year. Members should contain themselves, really. Remember, you better not shout, you better not cry. The Honourable Member for Skinner Bulkley Valley.
Well, Mr. Speaker, if Canadians had a nickel for every empty answer they got on electoral reform, well,
they might be able to afford going to one of those Liberal fundraisers. But enough with the doublespeak. We have an historic opportunity to rise above narrow partisan interest and make every vote count. So here's one more chance for this government to live up to its promise to Canadians. Will they drop the excuses, pick up a pen, work with all of the parties to create a new and fair voting system where each and every vote counts, yes or no?
Honourable Minister of Democratic Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, as a government, we continue to be committed to strengthening our democratic institutions. We continue to be committed to working with all members of this House to strengthen what we have. And Mr. Speaker, we're seriously committed to hearing from many more Canadians, not just through the traditional means of engagement, but through new, innovative digital initiatives. Over 250,000 Canadians have felt empowered and are responding through our digital campaign, Mr. Speaker. We look forward to hearing from many more voices before we introduce legislation.
Député de Mégantic-Lérable.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-Lérable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I learned a new English word today, chaggering. According to my dictionary, it means repeating the same thing every day, forced to do so by the Prime Minister, even if you don't believe it, so that the PM can avoid answering the real questions. Mr. Speaker, when will the Liberal government finally put an end to this practice of privileged access to the Prime Minister?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I can see that my colleague likes my answer, so I'm going to repeat it. Canada has some of the strictest fundraising rules across this country, and we will continue to work on the real challenges that Canadians are facing. It is our government that is listening to Canadians and engaging with them. We will continue to do the work that they want us to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Canadian youth and students are some of the most vulnerable victims of the Liberals' No Jobs plan. The Liberals are raising taxes on them, thus making life even more expensive for young Canadians. They are losing hope altogether of having a long-term job in their near future. They can't afford the $1,500 entry fee in order to get the Prime Minister's ear. How can young Canadians trust this Prime Minister when he is willing to sell out their interests to for their future to his billionaire friends?
Yay! Honourable Minister of Employment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gives me an opportunity to talk about the many advancements that we have been doing with young Canadians from coast to coast to coast. The fact is that we're providing more supports for going to school, for getting real practical training, and for finding the skills and abilities to adapt to a very changing workforce, as we all know, with the new economic revolution called 4.0. I look forward to working with all members of the House in the new year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lobinière. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's admission that he has been lobbied during $1,500 a head fundraising activities is deplorable, and it reflects badly on all Canadians. Today, the entire world is making fun of our democratic system. How incredibly shameful for all of us. Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister apologize to Canadians and respect his own ethics rules? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, as the Prime Minister said, and as all MPs on our side of the House have said, we are listening to Canadians and engaging with Canadians from coast to coast. We talk to them about subjects that they care about. When we make decisions, we are always guided by one important principle, and that is the best interest of middle-class Canadians. This is the approach that we adopted when we reduced taxes for the middle class. It's the approach that we adopted when we introduced the Canada Child Benefit, which is tax-free.
Red Deer Lacombe.
Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister is hosting an exclusive Cash for Access event, he claims he's advocating for the middle class. Really? I honestly hope that was an attempt at humor. This Prime Minister has no regard for his own rules, his own party rules, and he laughs in the face of the ethics laws. So when will the Prime Minister end these unethical Cash for Access events?
Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, let's look at the work that this government has done. This government has reduced taxes for middle-class Canadians. We have raised taxes on the wealthiest 1% of Canadians. This government has given more money to the families with children that need it the most by introducing the Canada Child Benefit tax-free to help those families with children that need it the most. That's the approach also that we took when we expanded the Canada Pension Plan. We will continue to respond to the very real challenges that Canadians are facing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order. The honourable member for Red Deer Lacombe.
Mr. Speaker, enough is enough. The Prime Minister's Cash for Access events are a national embarrassment, and he's quickly becoming a mockery around the world. The Prime Minister is selling access to his government. He knows it. The Chinese government and their detractors know it. His caucus knows it, and Canadians know it. It's called corruption. The Prime Minister has become a laughingstock on the matter of ethics. Mr. Speaker, it's time for the Prime Minister to act like a leader and put an end to these unethical cash for access events. So the only question is, when will he do it?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this government is engaging with Canadians. This government is listening to Canadians. This government is responding to the very real challenges that Canadians are facing. I am not surprised that the Conservatives find it embarrassing that a government would listen to Canadians, but we know that's what Canadians want. We will continue to consult and engage with them because we need to respond to the challenges they are facing. We will continue to do the good work that Canadians expect us to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Sarnia-Lambton.
Well, Mr. Speaker, this is getting embarrassing for the Liberals. The Prime Minister now says that he used cash for access fundraisers to champion the middle class. Wow. Where I come from, the middle class don't hang out at waterfront mansions or get to jet set with Chinese billionaires. Where I come from, the middle class shows up for work every day, struggles to pay their taxes, and plays by the rules. If the Prime Minister wants some advice about the middle class, he should try meeting with the middle class. When will the Prime Minister end his corruption and put hard-working Canadians first? For Christmas, I want a real answer.
Order. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this government has taken unprecedented levels of consultation with Canadians so that we can respond to the very real challenges that Canadians are facing. The member knows very well that when it comes to political financing, the rules are some of the most strict across this country. Even the Chief Electoral Officer has said so, and the member knows very well that the rules clearly state that only Canadians can donate to Canadian political parties. We will continue to respond to the challenges Canadians are facing. We will continue to do the good work they expect us to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, CSIS has backpedaled on its commitment to tell a Senate committee whether journalists have ever really been under surveillance. The government responded that no journalist is currently under surveillance, so why doesn't CSIS want to share this information that would confirm that? This leads us to believe that this practice is still underway. But there's been nothing concrete from the government to defend freedom of the press. Will the minister finally take this issue seriously and launch a public inquiry?
The Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, on the very important issue of press freedom and protection of journalistic sources, all existing safeguards that are in place now are being reviewed to make sure that they are strong and effective. And I have said publicly many times that we are open to any and all advice coming from journalists or the legal community or others who may have submissions to make about how the law can be made more effective.
The Honourable Member for Laurier-Sainte-Marie. Mr. Speaker, the U.S. announced that they would suspend some of their arms sales to Saudi Arabia because of systemic and endemic problems, given that this country was targeting civilians in Yemen. Meanwhile, it seems that Canada is planning on having light armored vehicles that are made in Canada sent there to be used in the conflict in Yemen. Can the minister confirm this information? And is he not concerned by the fact that Canada may become complicit in war crimes? The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, the government does not export this particular type of arms that is in question in the case of the U.S. We condemn the repeated attacks against Yemen, including one that recently occurred in a funeral hall. These are unacceptable and tragic events, And we have repeatedly denounced these events. We want Saudi Arabia to respect its international commitments.
For Carlton.
As families look to buy Christmas gifts, they're haunted by worry. Worry of the record household debt that has now reached $1.67 for every dollar in household earnings. Worry compounded by the new taxes this government promises on wages, on gasoline, on home heating and electricity, maybe even on health and dental plans. Mr. Speaker, as we get closer to Christmas, when will this government realize that many families have nothing more to give?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, there have been some really important things that have happened this year. On January 1st, taxes were lowered for middle-class Canadians. On March 22nd, we introduced a budget that increased the guaranteed income supplement for single seniors by 10%, $943. We also introduced the Canada Child Benefit, which is helping families with, on average, $2,300. Mr. Speaker, we also changed student grants so they get 50% more for lower-income or middle-income families. It's been a year of important initiatives, and we're looking forward to doing more for middle-class Canadians in 2017.
Honourable Member for Carlton.
Well, by middle class, he apparently means the people who can afford to attend $1,500 a plate fundraisers. That's why he cut taxes for people earning $200,000 a year. They got $800, but somebody earning $45,000 got exactly zero. And the new $100 billion in debts that Liberals are adding, that is great news for the billionaire bondholders who will collect interest on it, but for the working class people who have to pay that interest through their taxes, it is a nightmare. When will this finance minister realize that Canadians have their own debts and that they cannot afford to pay for his?
Honourable Minister of Social Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm grateful for this opportunity to repeat again that middle-class families are at the top of our priorities. We have avoided sending checks to families of millionaires, so we can send them to 9 families out of 10, which means, Mr. Speaker, the families of 6 million children with an average benefit of $600 per month, non-taxable. That's taking the families of 300,000 children out of poverty.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent. Mr. Speaker, in their desire to take more and more money out of the pockets of Canadian taxpayers, the Liberal government has now decided to tax health insurance and dental insurance plans. Mr. Speaker, this is a very bad thing. And what will the result be? Well, this system has already existed in Quebec for a few years. And what was the result? 20% of Quebec workers no longer have a private insurance plan for health and dental. Is this what ministers want? 2.6 million Canadians losing their insurance plans? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, the numbers are clear. Last year was a good year in terms of policy for Canadians. We started by cutting taxes for the middle class. We also improved the lives of seniors by enhancements to the CPP, and we will be introducing we introduced our Canada Child Benefit, which is helping families. These are the things that we've done, and next year we will continue our mission to help the middle class. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent. Well, it's not by taxing people's private health plans that you will be meeting that objective. But in addition to taking money from taxpayers, the minister has nothing to offer to job creators and wealth creators, who next year will have to be facing the Liberal carbon tax, additional costs for pension funds, the elimination of tax credits, and the Liberals' refusal to lower corporate taxes. This is what our entrepreneurs and job creators want. Perhaps for Christmas, why is the minister acting like Scrooge?
Monsieur le Président,
The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, we want to invest in the future while helping the middle class, and that is exactly what we're doing. We've made historic investments in infrastructure in this country, and that will improve our growth rate for the future. Next year, We will continue with our plan to invest in the future for our children and grandchildren.
The Honourable Member for Salaberry-sur-Roi. Mr. Speaker, over the past 2 months, I called the government to action because students had not been paid because of the Phoenix system. Yesterday, we heard that 1,700 students employed by Parks Canada had encountered problems with payroll. Students have high expenses because of the increase in tuition fees. They stopped working 4 months ago. These were not volunteers. When will the minister responsible for public services assure me that all summer students will receive their pay?
Services and procurement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my honourable colleague for her question. As I have said repeatedly, it is totally unacceptable for anyone to go without pay for work performed, certainly in the case of students. And I can report today that there are 3 students who are still waiting for pay, and we're working very hard on their cases to try and get them resolved as quickly as possible.
The Honourable Member for Churchill, Kiwatnook-Askey.
Mr. Speaker, it's been 2 months since the Phoenix deadline, and 10,000 cases have yet to be fixed, meaning thousands of Canadians are still waiting to get paid. And yet we've learned that executives in charge of this fiasco are getting bonuses. So let's get this straight. Executives are getting performance bonuses for a program that doesn't work. With the holidays around the corner, Mr. Speaker, this adds insult to injury to the so many who are still waiting to get paid. So will this minister prove that her government takes this seriously and halt the bonuses until Phoenix is fixed?
Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement.
Mr. Speaker, again, I thank my colleague for the question. There's no one more concerned about this issue than I am as the minister responsible. We are working very hard. We have put measures in place, including satellite offices. We have hired 250 additional people to deal with these issues. We are now dealing with really complex issues. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the 10,000 cases that remain are issues that have been outstanding, some going back 3 years. So we are doing everything we can to deal with the issue, and we will continue to do that. In the interim, if there are any employees who are infected by this pay system, I encourage them to get in touch with us and to make sure that they...
The Honourable Member for Bay of Quinte. Order.
Mr. Speaker, after 3 governments, 4 prime ministers, and 14 years since the project began, I was proud that our government has successfully acquired fixed-wing search and rescue aircraft. These aircraft play a critical role carrying out search and rescue operations to respond to Canadians in distress across our vast country of over 18 million square kilometres. Can the Minister of Public Services and Procurement please inform this House what this announcement will mean for all Canadians? Thank you, Mr.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my honourable colleague from Bay of Quinte for his question and for his hard work. Last week in Trenton, we announced the award of a contract to acquire a new fleet of 16 modern search and rescue aircraft. This announcement fulfills our commitment to ensure that men and women in uniform have the equipment they need to carry out the work expected of them. This contract will create middle-class jobs for Canadians throughout the country and generate growth for Canada's aerospace and defence sector. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, these aircraft will help our military save the lives of Canadians every day.
Honourable Member for Selkirk, Interlake, Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have refused to provide any details about the deployment of 600 Canadian troops to a dangerous African mission. Canadians are demanding the facts. Yesterday, the Defence Minister broke his promise to provide Canadians with the information by the end of this year. He's now saying he's going to hide that information until next year. This isn't like keeping your children's Christmas present a surprise. Our soldiers' lives are on the line. Will the Liberals start being transparent finally about their blatant political decision and allow for a full debate and a vote before they deploy our troops to Mali?
Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
My colleague is completely right to say that this is a very serious decision that must be taken very seriously in a comprehensive way. But where is in contradiction with himself, he's asking me to do that in the last 10 seconds that you allow me, Mr. Speaker, in this House. No, it will be done properly, in due time, with full transparency, and will show how much Canada will honour its commitment for peace.
That's it.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Minister is not answering the question. I will put it differently. The Senate Standing Committee on National Security and Defence has asked the government that before any deployment of troops, such as the one the Liberals are planning in Africa, that it share with us, the House of Commons, the size of the mission, the objectives, the risks incurred, the costs, the rules of engagement, and establish support from all parties. The Senate is based on the Dutch experience, which is an example of transparency and consensus. Will the Minister of Defence follow that example and share all the facts with us so we can have an enlightened debate? The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Same question, same answer, Mr. Speaker. It's very important that the Government of Canada communicate to Canadians in all transparency this fundamental decision, that is sending Canadian troops to defend peace, as we've always done. We're one of the rare countries in the world that has never sent troops abroad except to protect democracy, peace, and justice, and that is what we will do, and we will communicate this fully to Canadians because they are entitled to that.
Barry Innisfil.
Mr. Speaker, Australia, the United States, and the UK have banned the use of mefloquine, the anti-malarial drug, by members of their armed forces. Last week, we learned Germany will no longer be administering the drug to their armed forces. This decision puts the Canadian Armed Forces one step behind our NATO and European allies. The drug has a toxic side effect and leads to aggression and suicide. Mr. Speaker, the Defense Minister continues to defend the use of mefloquine. Why can't he see that our allies have acted to protect their forces from mefloquine and do the same to protect Canadian troops?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary for National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, we take the health of our troops very seriously. Malaria is a life-threatening disease present in many areas of the world. Individuals are carefully assessed and screened by their health services. As the Chief of Defence Staff has stated lately, the Surgeon General is looking into the use of mefloquine and will report back imminently.
The Honourable Member for Yorkton Melville.
Mr. Speaker, all of our allies are facing that same malaria. In August of this year, Lord Dinant, head of the British Army, apologized to troops who had taken mefloquine while he was Chief of the General Staff. Although he didn't take the drugs himself, he saw firsthand its catastrophic side effects. On September 15th, the Australian Department of Veterans Affairs established a dedicated mefloquine support team for their service members and veterans. Why is this Liberal government willing to risk our soldiers' health and lives by refusing to recognize the dangers of mefloquine, like our allies have, before they deploy them to Africa?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary for National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, mefloquine is a Health Canada approved drug and continues to be an option for malaria prophylaxis as recommended by the Public Health Agency of Canada and by most public health and travel medicines around the world. Having said that, however, Mr. Speaker, the Chief of Defence Staff has caused the Surgeon General to look into the use of mefloquine prior to any future deployments.
The Honourable Member for Abitibi, James Nunavik-Ayu. For more than a year, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has repeated the importance of our relations with the Aboriginal peoples. For over a year, I've been rising in this House to ask why this government is sending a contradictory message to the First Nations. This morning, we found out that survivors of the St. Anne's Residential School, which had an electric chair and where Aboriginal children were forced to eat their own vomit, have to battle it out in the courts to get compensation and not have to pay the government's legal fees. That's disgusting, Mr. Speaker. So when will they come to action in this government? The Honourable Minister of Aboriginal Affairs. Mr. Speaker, our government is determined to do justice to all the victims of this somber chapter in our history and ensure that eligible individuals receive the compensation they're due. We do not usually request legal fees from the victims. As a general rule, these cost issues are settled at the end of the issue, not while it's being processed.
Mr. Speaker, CETA will dramatically increase foreign takeovers of Canadian companies by raising the threshold for reviews from $600 million to $1.5 billion. This will apply to EU companies as well as American, Chinese, Russian, and many other foreign companies. The EU is years away from fully ratifying CETA, so why is this government moving full steam ahead? Instead of permitting more foreign takeovers, the Liberals should be standing up for Canadians by tightening the rules. Will the Liberals support the NDP's amendments to remove these dangerous provisions from CETA?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to start by thanking the Conservatives and particularly the Bloc who joined us yesterday in supporting this progressive agreement that is going to add to Canadian GDP and create jobs. It's going to lead to an increase of 0.77% to our GDP. That translates to roughly $11.44 billion. Curtis McBride, CEO of Myovision Technologies in Kitchener, said CETA will help his company, and I quote, reap far greater gains from existing deals with European companies. Baljit Sierra of Markham says, quote, CETA will generate...
The Honourable Member for Kamloops, Thompson Caribou.
Mr. Speaker, today the CBC posted an article by Charmaine Stick of Onion Lake Cree Nation, which was titled, I Starved Myself for Financial Transparency. She stated, for 13 days in June 2014, I went on a hunger strike. The First Nations Financial Transparency Act, which the Liberal government stopped enforcing last December, was good for people. It was somewhere for grassroots people to go to get answers. We need equality. Without the Act, there's no equality for the membership in our community. When will the Minister start empowering these courageous women and enforce the Act?
Honourable Minister of Indigenous and Northern Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, everyone, including First Nations governments, wants increased transparency and accountability, but we will achieve this through working in full partnership with First Nations leadership and organizations. Before and after the election, First Nations from coast to coast to coast were clear. Top-down, made-in-Ottawa solutions will not work, and our government's committed to reviewing the laws, including the FNFTA, and will review in full consultation with the First Nations.
Order. The Honourable Member for Kamloops, Thompson Caribou.
Mr. Speaker, it has been over a year. I don't think it takes that long to consult and come up with a plan. We learn now that the Liberals have set up a secretive four-person club that's concocting ways to transfer billions of dollars directly to the chiefs of First Nations. The Minister has stripped financial transparency protection for grassroots band members. Band members need more information, not less, so they can be empowered to hold their leadership accountable. When will the Minister stop her attack on financial transparency and grassroots First Nations?
The Minister of Indigenous Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I was very proud to meet with the Assembly of First Nations and the new Committee on Financial and Fiscal Relationships. The accountability and transparency is one of the things that they are studying very closely. They are consulting with their nations, coast to coast to coast, and they will report in 1 year about how we will move out from under this grants and contribution system to treating nations nation to nation.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals embarrassed themselves yesterday when they donned Ukrainian traditional dress to praise an ally and then voted against recognition of the Soviet genocide of Crimean Tatars. Whipping MPs to cozy up to Putin. Just another example, Mr. Speaker, of Liberals muting Canada's principled voice on human rights this year, as with China, Iran, Cuba, Ethiopia, Syria, Congo, and the UN. Mr. Speaker, when will the Liberals stand up and speak truth out loud to tyrants and despots?
Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, at the end of this year, Amnesty International came with a report card about what we have done for human rights during the year. It is what they have to say. Canada has offered an encouraging example to the world of the importance and value of embracing human rights. There have been major advances in giving greater priority to human rights in Canadian foreign policy, including championing a strong gender equality agenda, making human rights part of annual performance review for Canada. Mr. Speaker, they also said...
Honourable Member for Park.
Mr. Speaker, during the campaign, we promised to engage Canadians about how to ensure that our national security framework keeps us safe and protects our rights and freedoms. Like many honourable members, I participated in these consultations along with my constituents. Could the Minister of Public Safety please tell the House how Canadians have responded to this opportunity to make their voices heard on this matter of critical importance?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, this unprecedented engagement with Canadians about our national security framework has been a resounding success. Online, we have received more than 53,000 individual responses, plus another 17,000 emails and form letters, and that's on top of meetings in ridings across the country, including one I attended recently with the member for Scarborough-Rouge Park. After submissions close online tomorrow, we will examine all of that input as we act to ensure that Canadians are safe and their rights and freedoms are properly protected.
Bravo.
The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Mr. Speaker, the Institut Nordique du Québec is a tool for the development of the north of Quebec, Ontario, and the Canadian Arctic. Quebec government, Laval University, and private enterprise have confirmed their financial support for the Institute. Why is it that once again this Liberal government forgets about the regions? The region of Quebec City is ignored. Will the Prime Minister, who asked his Minister of Families not to look after files from the Quebec City region, can respect people from the greater Quebec City region and support the Institut Nordique?
For Infrastructure and Communities.
Mr. Speaker, we are proud of our relationship with the province of Quebec. We have recently received the application for this project and projects under review. And Minister responsible for the province of Quebec knows about this, and we're working with them. This project is very important to us. As we review this, we will let the province know of the outcome. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Sherbrooke.
Mr. Speaker, despite the fancy words by the government, it says it wants to attack tax evasion, we find out that the company that rents out office space to the CRA engages in tax evasion. Makes no sense to say progressive and wants to fight tax evasion while at the same time signing public contracts with such enterprises. Will the Minister of National Revenue think that this is acceptable, and will she stop closing her eyes and put an end to this scandalous contract? Mr. Speaker, the situation raised by my colleague is greatly concerning. I've discussed this with my colleague, the Minister for Public Services and Procurement. The real estate needs of the agency as a tenant are ensured by Public Services and Procurement. We don't deal directly with the landlords, but please be assured that our government will continue to act so that all Canadians pay their fair share of taxes. That's at the heart of my mandate, and I will not let go of this. The Honourable Member for Moncton, Riverview-Dieppe. Last week, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister for Sport and People with Disabilities announced a process for consultation on Canada's membership in the optional protocol related to the UN Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities. As we know, Canada is one of the first countries to have signed this convention. Will the Minister responsible for sport and the disabled inform us about the talks regarding the membership in the optional protocol? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my honourable colleague for her question. We are very proud of this. The Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities ensures the protection and promotion of the rights and dignity of persons with disabilities so that they are treated without discrimination.
Government and stakeholders, as they all play an important role in the process of Canada's accession to the optional protocol. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to congratulate my colleague from Global Affairs. The standing ovation he received from the disability community at the time of this announcement was well-deserved. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Dauphin, Swan River, Neepawa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We'll give the Minister of Public Services another chance. And yesterday we discovered that over 1,600 students working at Parks Canada were the most recent victims of the Liberals' Phoenix pay fiasco. Reports indicate that there are still thousands of employees without pay heading into the Christmas season. The Liberals' continued contempt for public service, especially Parks Canada students, student employees is unacceptable. Will the Liberal government finally take action to ensure that our public servants are paid in time for Christmas?
The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague for his question. We are working very hard to resolve the issues associated with Phoenix, many of which date back prior to Phoenix. With respect to the students, there are 3 students who are left waiting for pay, and we're working very hard to resolve their issues. But it is totally unacceptable for employees to go without pay for work performed, especially at a time like this, and that's why we're encouraging all employees who are finding themselves in a difficult position as a result of this to contact us and to make arrangements for emergency pay.
The Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my great hope that we could leave this place with glad tidings. I hear news that the Government of Canada, after decades of inaction, is finally prepared to ban the use, import and export of asbestos. I hope this is true, and I ask the Prime Minister if this can be confirmed and whether Canada will also take action to list asbestos under the Rotterdam Convention so that developing countries can have prior informed consent.
The Honourable Minister of Science.
Mr. Speaker, our government is committed to moving forward on a ban on asbestos. I am working with my colleagues on a government-wide approach, and what I can tell this House is that I will be announcing additional timelines by the end of the year. Our government has already taken action by placing a ban on the use of asbestos in new government construction and has put in place a national asbestos inventory.
Well,
I would like to inform the members of the presence in the gallery of the Honourable Michel Sanson, the Minister of Energy, the Minister of Acadian Affairs and the Francophonie, the Minister of Trade, and the Minister responsible of Part 1 of the Gaming Control Act for the province of Nova Scotia.
And now I believe the Honourable Opposition House Leader has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do have a question for the Government House Leader about the future business of the House, and I would ask if she would consider an idea in my question. I know we're all going to be getting ready to go on our Christmas holidays fairly soon, but I think even during the Christmas time, there are a lot of people in this country who are suffering because of job losses. I wondered if she would consider, when we return after the Christmas break, if we might be able to have a take-note debate regarding the job losses that have been suffered in the energy sector. Thank you very much, Mr.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank my colleague, the Opposition House Leader, for her question. I would like to indicate, Mr. Speaker, that the government has no objection to holding a take-note debate on this topic upon our return in 2017.
I'd like to move that notwithstanding any standing orders or usual practice of the House, A, when orders of the day are called on Wednesday, December 14th, 2016, a Minister of the Crown be authorized to move without notice a motion relating to the Senate's amendment to Bill C-29, a second act to implement certain provisions of the budget tabled in Parliament on March 22nd, 2016, and other measures, and that during the consideration of the motion related to the said bill, a member from each recognized party, as well as a member from the Bloc Québécois, may speak for not more than 10 minutes, followed by 5 minutes for question and comments, after which the motion shall be deemed adopted. B. Bill S4, an act to implement a convention and an arrangement for the avoidance of double taxation and the prevention of fiscal evasion with respect to taxes on income, and to amend an act in respect of a similar agreement, be deemed concurred in at report stage and be ordered for the consideration at third reading stage later this day, and that when the House begins debate on the third reading motion of the bill, a member from each recognized party, as well as a member from the Bloc Québécois, may speak for not more than 5 minutes with no question and comment period, after which the bill shall be deemed read a third time and passed. And C, when proceedings on Bills C-29 and S-4 have concluded, the House shall adjourn until Monday, January 30th, 2017, provided that, for the purposes of Standing Order 28, it shall be deemed to have sat on Thursday, December 15, and Friday, December 16, 2016. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Excellent.
Does the Honourable Minister have unanimous consent of the House to move the motion? Agreed. The House has heard the terms of the motion. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Carried. Government House Leader. Order. Order.
Mr. Speaker, I first want to wish you, Mr. Speaker, and your family a very happy holiday season. We have been able to achieve quite a bit over a limited amount of time during this fall sitting of Parliament. I want to thank my counterpart House Leader, the members for Portage Lisgar and Victoria and their respective teams for their collaboration and cooperation. I very much look forward to that continued collaboration in the new year as we continue to work in the best interest of Canadians. I would also like to thank the whips and other members of the House leadership from all sides and their teams for their hard work, as well as all members of this House for their continued work. I hope everyone enjoys the time with their families, loved ones, and with their constituents, and that all come back to this House in January refreshed and ready to roll up their sleeves once again. I would be remiss, Mr. Speaker, if I did not thank and recognize the tremendous staff that help us get work done in this place. My thanks to all the branches and services of the House administration. Without their contributions, we would not be able to do the good work that we do. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank our pages. They have now a few months under their belts. I wish them the best in their exam period and hope they enjoy their time away from this place and that they too come back refreshed. We certainly look forward to seeing them in 2017. Again, Mr. Speaker, to you and all my colleagues, a very happy and enjoyable holiday season and a very happy New Year. Thank you.
Honourable Opposition House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I want to echo and return the good wishes that the Honourable House Leader just conveyed. I do want to begin by wishing the House Leader a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday, as well as our counterpart, the House Leader for the NDP. It's been a joy and a privilege to be able to work together. I know it's a new position for all three of us, and I think with our teams, we have been able to work fairly well, and so I wish her team, the whip and their team, very happy holidays. I also want to mention, Mr. Speaker, the staff here who have helped us so much, the clerks here at the table. Thank you so much. The votes that they get through every week. We just wish you a wonderful holiday and a restful time. We want to thank the pages, they were mentioned, but